Hey folks, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into one of the topics that we covered in the morning show. It is a big one. We also have 3 administrative things we're going to slide in at the end. But let's jump right into this here. So, did you know that a third of all of what they call global warming is about the Arctic warming? Literally, that is a third of all of what they're talking about. And despite the continued discourse in mainstream news about emissions of carbon and things like that, the data keeps showing over and over again that it is the polar ozone loss that is actually driving that warming, again, especially at the Arctic. And while they always want to seem to blame ozone destroying gases, in case you haven't heard, those have been on the decline quite a bit and for quite some time. But what we saw today is what we have seen in the past, and very glad to get a nice little reminder of this. It is actually solar protons, and in this case, the energetic electrons, that is destroying ozone at a much greater rate, and that is because Earth is losing its magnetic field. We recently went over how we're seeing many more of the pink and rare colored auroras, which are usually reserved for the strongest geomagnetic storms from the sun. But we haven't had any of those, and yet we're seeing multiple of these events where we get those rare auroral colors. That's because the weakening magnetic field is letting in more of those particles, and they're penetrating to a deeper level. This is hand in hand. It's the same particles that are known to destroy ozone, what we went over this morning. And a lot of the changes, especially at the polar region that we've been seeing, are due to the solar particles, and they're coming in because Earth is losing its magnetic field. This isn't the first time that we've seen things like this. You might remember this very famous paper from a few years ago talking about how in some of the biggest solar blasts, there can be multi-degree spikes in temperature like that. This is exactly the same kind of concept we're talking about, and it's also the same concept that we hit when we talk about this paper here, which the world's best in terms of geophysics, in the #1 geophysics journal in the world, talking about how previous magnetic pole shifts like we are in right now caused an unbelievable amount of destruction through ultraviolet driven, and what they probably miss is that it's also largely particle driven, although at the time of this paper there weren't quite as many papers on the particles. Ozone loss that we have during these pole shifts. It's actually what helps drive so many extinctions. Of course, observers, there are other things about the pole shift that drive loss of species and biosphere damage. But the point is that this is an exceptionally well-known and well-understood scientific concept. Now, can we expect mainstream scientists or even, really anybody to put the pieces together from across time and actually say, hey, wait a minute, this is what you're saying now. This is what you said last year. This is what was said 3 years ago. This is what was said 5 years ago. You would think we'd be able to do that with scientists, but we really can't do it. And so basically what we have is a nice reminder of exactly how much trouble we're in climatologically and in terms of radiation with the magnetic pole shift that we are in right now. It is going to be heavily impactful on the climate. It already has been. It is going to be heavily impactful on the radiation dosage that we are receiving here on Earth. It's one of the main longer-term issues with the biosphere that we actually have with this geomagnetic excursion, this magnetic pole shift. Good reminder here. Good, of course, being a relative term. This is very, very bad for all of us, for all of the life living here on this planet, actually. But you can see it's not exactly straightforward, and nobody comes out and puts it all into one paper, puts it all into one publication. You actually have to take what is being read now. You have to say, oh, all right, so where can I apply this? Where else has this been discussed? How else has this been discussed given what else we know is happening on the planet? And when you actually take an appropriate Renaissance like interdisciplinary view of the scientific literature in the peer-reviewed journals, you have no choice but to say, oh, crap. That's what's coming to us. Anyway, nice little reminder there. Again, nice being relative. 3 little things I want to mention. We've got a lot of questions about when the next 5.9 month solar cycle uptick is going to be. That's probably sometime either later this month or in March. That's what we've been saying since the last one about now 5 months ago. 5.9 months, should be somewhere towards the end of February, beginning of March. Still getting a lot of emails about Observer Ranch. Do have to finally call this out. We have had a number of takers. We're going to have to sort of begin to quiet it down a little bit in terms of the people who want to get involved at the ranch. So if you are looking for a spot at the ranch, they are all, at this point, only a couple left, being reserved for accredited investors who are also our business partners. So if you are an accredited investor, if you'd like to be involved with the ranch, now would be the time to send us an email. Just go to the website for Observer Ranch down below and click that link. We also have a link down below to our Blitz Tour events. Somebody was asking when we're going to run out of time for those. I imagine we're going to keep those ticket sales open until they actually sell out. A couple of them are actually kind of close, but probably up to at least just a couple of days beforehand when we have to order food and other things for those events. So, to summarize, when you put today's morning paper into the bigger perspective, it is oh, crap. Next solar uptick, just a couple weeks away. Observer Ranch, we're down to the accredited investors only. Click that link down below, send us an email. And the Blitz Tour tickets are still available, but a couple of them are almost sold out already. San Jose and South Carolina are almost sold out at this point. Still room at Buffalo, still room at Arizona. So anyway, that was my little evening update. Oh, crap. We will see you in the morning for the daily show. Nobody turn that into a meme, please. Be safe, everyone.